Our guest today is a three-time CEO and chief marketing officer who sold her first business, a medical marketing communications firm, at age 32. She's led repositioning, messaging, and branding initiatives for iconic brands including Mercy Health System, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Intuit, Heinz, and Subaru. As principal for Revealing Genius, she now guides executive leaders to strategically articulate their expertise and their why to achieve big impact and fulfillment. Hundreds of retiring military veterans and their spouses have completed her virtual brand leadership summit, an online course to transition to civilian life. Her education includes Duquesne University, Villanova University, and the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. She also facilitates brand certification courses for Cornell University. A published author, she often speaks and writes about the subjects of brand on purpose, messaging matters, and rise above the noise. Her favorite pursuit right now is serving as the executive producer of The Great Work of Your Life interview series. Please welcome Ms. Mary E. Maloney. For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. Thanks for listening to What the Heck is Happening in HR. And today we're going to have a little trip through a career, a really successful career with Mary Maloney. Mary, thanks so much for being here. Just for full transparency, Mary and I have known each other for years, but probably haven't seen each other, though we're in the same town for decades, which is a shame.
Oh my gosh, Kelly, what a thrill it is to be here and to reconnect with you and you and Jeremy and I, of course, were talking right before getting on this call. It's like getting together again with someone you've known since you were 3. So I am honored to be here and really excited to be on the podcast.
Well, thanks so much, and we're lucky enough to have you for a few minutes, so we'll be able to record a couple of them. But the first thing is I want people to know you and understand the career journey because you've made some pivots, and I think it's fascinating and inspirational. So give us the Mary Maloney story.
Sure. I guess, to sum it up, you're absolutely right. And it took me a long time to actually, do a look back and connect the dots. And I have this unique blend of, what I did in my professional career was branding. I mean, I am in the branding business. It's what I've done since I, first graduated from college, reposition, remessage brand companies. I mean, that's what I did. But then personally, I also had to reinvent myself multiple times. And it wasn't always by choice, as you know, Kelly.
Mhm.
Many of my pivots, I had to make them unexpectedly. So I have this unique blend of these corporate branding tenets and then lived experience.
So do a shout out to your school. Give us your background there,
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I'm a Pennsylvania girl.
right?
So I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere near eastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Allentown area. I got a scholarship to go to Duquesne University. So I was the first woman of my generation to graduate from college. It was a really big deal. And then was privileged to be able to get my master's degree from Villanova University. And then I also have a certificate. It's an executive development program certificate from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. So all three, Duquesne, Villanova, Wharton, all in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you definitely kept that education in Pennsylvania. So your degrees were in marketing, all of them, except that last one in leadership. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So from Duquesne, it was marketing and business. From Villanova University, it's organizational psychology,
Hmm.
and then the Wharton certificate is leadership. Yes, I was part of a very unique simulator. Wharton is one of only two organizations in the world that offers a business sim. And shout out to my team. There were 40 people on that team, and we actually won the sim that year. The simulator was a 2-week program where we had to create value for our stakeholders.
Mm.
And we were put in a simulation environment, and we had to build the brand, grow the profit, and whoever was able to do that best at the end won. And I was really excited to be part of that sim. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, how exciting. Yeah, one of my bosses actually went there. So I'm always impressed with the background that they have out of Wharton in particular, but all the schools you went to are really wonderful. You've done some work with military veterans. Can you talk about that?
I have, and that's very recent, Kelly. So I've been in my background is corporate branding. I'm a 3-time CEO, a chief marketing officer. I sold my first business when I was 32. As you know, it's been hundreds of rebrands that I've done
Mm.
in some way, shape, or form. Working with nonprofits, I ran 2 agencies. So that's on the corporate side. That's company branding, if you will. And
Mhm.
that's really where I've spent a lifetime. But it's just recently, 2017 and forward, that I started to delve into executive personal branding. And what I found was retiring military, uh, highly decorated retiring military veterans really struggle to re-enter civilian life. And these are amazing human beings who
Mhm.
have accomplished much, still have a lot of gas in the tank. But that transition from the military world into the civilian arena, and their spouses too, is is a tough one. And what I do from an executive personal branding standpoint is I help them to very strategically articulate their expertise, but most importantly, their why, like what their brand stands for,
Mm.
so that they can go ahead and achieve big impact and fulfillment. I want to work with people like you, people who want to have 7th generation impact. And I found that folks coming out of the military really resonate with that.
Oh, yeah, excellent. So tell me about branding is such a niche within marketing, an important one. But what was it that intrigued you about that?
Oh gosh, I have to give credit to my first boss. I know a lot of folks that are listening on this call are in HR, and I really do have to tip my hat to my very first manager, who I still keep in touch with to this day.
I'm not surprised at that at all. I'm in touch
Oh
with
my
all
gosh.
mine. Yeah.
Uh, Yeah. So my very first job after I graduated college was with a nonprofit organization called the Rehabilitation Institute. And the lucky me, the organization was changing its name to the Children's Institute, which better reflected their core competency. And what the organization did was it specialized in helping children with disabilities live full and happy lives.
Hmm.
So within the first 6 months of graduating college, I got into this amazing role, and that's where I got hooked on branding, because what I experienced, Kelly, was the power of deliberate positioning, creating emotive messaging, and then consistently sharing that message across an omni-channel platform.
Hmm.
And what I witnessed, what I experienced was, here's this small regional player. Our goal was to like beat out the next, the competitor in the next town over. I mean,
Mhm.
we wanted to lead the market. And what happened was it catapulted us into an international playing field
Oh, wow.
in less than a year.
Wow.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And for the folks on this call, the biggest takeaway from that, like the best part of that was I was part I was low man on the totem pole, but I was part of a culture that was on purpose.
Mm,
And it was so much fun to go to work. Like
mm,
all of us, we were all in on the mission. And it was because of that rebrand. I was
mhm.
absolutely hooked because I saw the impact, not only financially, but from, from an organizational psychology standpoint, it was wonderful to be part of something like that.
What a well-timed experience to have. When you look back on your career, do you just sometimes go, "Wow, these stars really lined up for me?"
It's true. And Kelly, you and I have talked about this
Mhm.
offline many, many times. We are kindred spirits in this way. So even those tough times
Mhm.
are were meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, even even the tough times. Like for example, that role I loved, and I'll share this with you. HR folks will really appreciate this. So back then, I was making $19,000 a year.
Mhm.
I walked to work. I loved my boss. I was part of this amazing culture. I honestly, Kelly, I would still be there today making maybe 25, 26. I'd be super happy because I was part of something. I felt like I was part of something.
Mhm.
It's laughable today, isn't it? It's kind of
Mm.
laughable. Um, but so the flip side of that was I at the height of that excitement, I was downsized. So that's the other side of the story. Now it wasn't so bad because of course I got 6 months notice. They threw me a party. I got a cash bonus, and my boss called in a favor to a friend and had lined up another role for me with which was another amazing branding story. It
Wow.
was with a 100-year-old institution. Lucky me. So that downsizing, that wasn't so bad.
Mhm.
But then when I compare that to the other downsizings that happened, very different.
Mhm. And those ones that did not go so well, how'd you bring yourself back up?
Well, I'll share one. So my boss called in a favor. I had the honor of working with a hospital that was turning 100, and the CEO was her friend. And the CEO greeted me on my very first day. I'll never forget this.
Mm.
He gave me a tour of the hospital, which he was very proud of. And he said, Mary, we, you and I, he said, we may never get the chance again to rebrand a 100-year-old institution. So savor your time. And he was right
Wow.
about that because I haven't had a chance to do that again. And I learned a ton there. Um, oh my gosh, managed multiple crises,
Mm.
and the media frenzy associated with it.
Mhm.
Very emotional times. Souls were lost.
Mm.
You know, it was like that kind of crisis.
Yeah.
Um, it was it was the second time I had a marketing campaign go viral.
Mhm. Wow.
That was really fun and international. So, kind of seeing how that evolved was a great learning experience. And then I also saw the impact that marketing had on the organization financially. We increased the foundation by 4x. It was
Wow.
insane. And because of it, the hospital remained freestanding. It was the last freestanding hospital before it was acquired
Wow.
because it was so financially stable. And I'm
Mhm.
really, really proud of that. Um, so I was downsized from the 100-year-old hospital too. Now,
Mhm.
what was different about that downsizing was there was no party, there was no advance notice. I got a box and a pink slip on a Friday morning, and I was asked to collect my effects and be out by noon.
Wow.
And at the time, I was single with no dependents, so I was going to be fine. I was disillusioned because that hadn't happened to me before. It was
Mhm.
my first time really experiencing that. But the thing is, Kelly, I walked out of there with people who had been there 30 years, and they got the same box. You
Wow.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to see grown
Mm.
men cry.
Yeah.
So, and it still sticks with me today. Like I still remember walking, like carrying my box to my car and looking around at other people. And what really hurt was the newspaper said 392 expendable employees were let go.
Oh.
They use that word,
Oh,
quote unquote, expendable.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
So
ah,
it's so that was I had to reinvent myself, but that's really where and I was disappointed because I loved my job.
mhm.
But I was young, I
Right.
love my job. But that's, like you say, timing. The trajectory of my life changed because of that downsizing. That's when I was encouraged to start a business in my
Mhm.
20s, something I'd never considered.
Yeah. Wow, Mary, I can just follow you walking out to the parking lot. So I so appreciate you sharing that story because there is always something else that comes. There is that door or that window that's open when one is shut. And you certainly are evidence of that. And we're going to learn more about Mary. My folks listening have always heard me say, I really believe in timing and packaging. When you get those two things right, the world seems to be in a much better place. And so sometimes the timing isn't ours, but one of the things you're really good at, Mary, is packaging. And so on our next episode of What the Heck is Happening in HR, we're going to be speaking with Mary Maloney about packaging. Thanks for being with us today, Mary.
Thank you, Kelly. Great to see you again.